Brian Epstein, though invaluable to the Beatles in the early years, was quite frankly rather a pain in the ass to the boys as time went by. This because of his unhappy homosexual relationships and losing bouts with alcohol and drugs. In this telling piece, Lennon comments on the fallout of Eppie's untimely death.
I don't think of him very often, you know. I mean, he's missed when we realise we have to think about all the business things, you know. But I'm one of those out of sight, out of mind people, really, you know. I've got a built-in resistance to sorrow, you know. I forget things the next day, which is lucky. I remember odd things from way back, you know, but really I've got a good sort of, whatever it's called, you know, the buffered, protective thing in my mind. I just hopped into this bag with Yoko.
Is it?
And it's, you know, it's always changing. So we just keep changing our bags, but if the bag gets bigger, that's the bit. That's the bit, you know. I mean, I got out of one bag, like a Beatle pop bag, and we've said this many times, she got out of her avant-garde bag. We got into a bigger bag, and so there's more room to breathe. And so it's just keep expanding the consciousness of the bag. It's like trying to explain a flower. We know what peace is the opposite of war, you know. We're also talking about peace of mind, you know. So it's a bit hard to define a flower, you know, but we all know what it is.
Also, peace is a very simple concept, isn't it? I mean, you know, if anybody who tries to intellectualize it to something, and then they might just sort of deform the idea, but as long as they're honest about it, everybody knows, you know, really.
See, all we're trying to do in a way is to make people aware that they have the power to have peace, you know. Like, we have the power to prevent Britain being involved in the Nigeria-Biafra war, you know. The people have the power, we put the politicians in there. But we believe the myth that's being created that we need these grand old men, the village elders, you know. And it's got to such a state that the village elders, like in all tribes, have got it so sewn up that nobody can get a word in, you know. But it's only a matter of us revolting without creating havoc and just changing the methods, you know. Because if the youth are hipper than we were when I was a youth, I know that just from meeting my cousins and odd youths I've come across, you know, they're much hipper than I was as a kid, and I thought I was pretty hip. So I think there's more of them understand it than you imagine. It's like in the disc pole. That was an amazing thing, you know, an amazing intelligence of some of the kids analysing or whatever of what we were doing, Yoko and I, and that was 12 and 14-year-olds, you know. So they're not. So the thing we're aiming at really is partly that generation, because if they realise they can do it, and they can because they will be it, they will be the establishment. Then it's up to them, you know, and they can't sit back and blame the chief of the tribe for attacking the next village, you know. They can't do that anymore. It's their it's all our responsibility, you know, and that's all we're trying to get them hip to. Is it's like in the old, you know, all the workers pre-unions didn't believe they could ever do anything about it. It took how many hundreds of years for them to think, now if we all stop work, what's he going to do about it, you know? And that's what we got to do about peace, you know, whether it's all stopping work or whatever. So I don't know how the original, I can't remember my history from school enough about Todd Slaughter or whatever his name was in the 1200 who started it all, you know, but it was about 1800 before anything really happened. So maybe we're him, you know. But I hope we're not. I hope Todd or whoever he was a few years back. You know, maybe that was, what's that old guy? Russell.
Yes.
Or before him, maybe we're the next generation. But the thing is, we're so far removed from it. We're a bit nearer with Ireland going on, you know. But apparently even in Nigeria, the people there are so sort of blasé about it. They don't really feel as though they're at war, you know. It's not harming them. So all we're trying to do is make them aware.
You really have to make them aware.
All the people are dying all the time.
Because you see, it might come to you, you know. That's the thing that you don't realize, you know. Like we were saying that all through this peace campaign, like, well, it could happen to you and you don't really feel it. Now we went through the same problem, like we were in a car, we never thought that we'd have a car crash, and we had it, It was a really frightening experience, and we thought, well, it can't happen to us, but it did, And when it comes to that, I mean, the ones who die, will have no words, So usually you don't really feel the effect because the dead ones don't come back and shout, and it happened to me and it's going to happen to you too, you see. It's really very scary actually. I mean, like in Biafra and all that, all these people dying every day, And meanwhile we're just sort of sitting here and, intellectualizing things.
There isn't any country that hasn't attacked somebody else, There's very few.
Exactly.
There may be one or two tribes, or something.
Oh,
So there's
exactly.
nobody has the authority as a country to talk about peace. Certainly not the English.
We're in the same boat.
But I mean,
everybody,
at least this generation, our generation of Englishmen, can pass on to the next generation of Englishmen that what our fathers did was a lot of fascist killing, and not to be conned by the British Commonwealth and the Daily Express, and probably the Times too. All we've got to say to our kids is, because all we got as kids was Empire Day, and yeah, all that. I mean, and the Beatles played the British Legion. Can you bring these guys some tea as well, please?
Oh,
I
I haven't
see.
made any, but it takes a long time to set.
Yeah, I'll have it at home. So there's none of us have any right to talk about peace, because I've beaten people up and I've fought with Yoko, But I prefer peace. I prefer myself in a peaceful situation, and I prefer my friends when they're peaceful, And you got to start somewhere,
Yes.
That's the bit. You just got to start somewhere.
Only the violent ones knows the value of peace. You know that bit, I mean, yes, there's no eternity unless, there's death, I mean, like we die, that's why we know what eternity is, what the value of eternity is. If everything is eternal, then you wouldn't have, eternity.
We've got to get on with it. See, you've got to do it yourself, and so have we. I mean, I'd like Jesus to come and sort it out for us too, or Buddha or somebody. I'd really like somebody to come and lead us. But the point is, there aren't any leaders leading us. So we've got to, it's like Eric Clapton, I was reading about him today. He's saying all the time his groups are splitting up. And it's partly because Eric and Ginger need to be led. And the responsibility of being the leader is too hard for him. But he must get it together and lead the group if he wants to be Super Eric and all that, because that's the only way to do it. And that's how we all got to start leading instead of just following like sheep. We've all got to take the initiative and stick a fucking poster in your window
And it's so
or
easy
something.
to be a follower.
Because there comes a time you're lying in bed, and if you think at all about Biafra or anything, any of the kids reading Rave or anything, you think, what can I do? Nothing. What can you do? Nothing. But just declare yourself. The first thing to do is to declare. You declare it to yourself inwardly. I'd like to stop it. How? I haven't a clue. What's the first thing to do? Tell my friend. Tell the next person to you. I prefer peace in the world. Do you? And you agree on it. Okay, what can we do? Let's stick a poster in our house window. It's got to start from the roots, like any workers' movement, whatever it is, any movement, big movement started with the people. And the people have got to, just...
Think love and think peace, it's that good.
If people just stuck, propaganda in their windows or something, it's a start to let other people know that they're not the only ones, even if they can't solve the problem. I can't give a political, social, economic answer of how to run the world without peace. I know there are people that could do that. I know it's possible. So I'm not providing answers. I'm just saying, okay, I've stated my case and I've put my poster in the window, only I happen to live in a strange world, so my poster is a strange poster. But for kids, all they have to do is to declare their faith. That's the first thing. And then you're out in the open and you've admitted that you want peace. And that's the first move, is because until then you're being a hypocrite. And that's a relief the first time you allow yourself to say to somebody else, I want peace and I'd like to try something, And that's the first, you get back, you get it's not an always giving thing. You get back from